I will start our meeting like we do all of our meetings with the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. And Albert, if you'll bless our meeting, and CJ, lead us in the pledge, please.
Let us bow. Father, with the power before your presence like before this day, this opportunity to come and to serve. We ask you to uplift us in a mighty way. Bless our community, our leadership, that the things we do become acceptable in your sight. We ask it all in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mary Ann, would you please call the roll?
Chair Harris,
Here.
Vice Chair Morrell,
Here.
Mr. Pereira, Mayor Brown,
Present.
Councilman Carter, Mr. Strouder,
Present.
Mr. Thompson. Have a quorum.
All right.
Have a quorum.
All right, thanks, Mary Ann. Yeah, and I know Councilman Carter is stuck in traffic coming out of Mount Juliet, so he'll be here in a little bit. So, all right, well, the secretary's not here, but there are minutes in the packet for review. So I'll ask we consider a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All right, so it's got a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the April 29th and the May 20th meetings. Without any further discussion or requests for changes, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes unanimously. All right, we're at the point in the meeting now where we'll have public comment on agenda-related items. If you have any comments on things that are on the agenda, this will be the time to come up and speak. There are 2 items on the agenda, or actually 4, that have public hearings. Item 13, which is Nichols West. Item 14, North Lake Automotive, which I think, Julian, was that deferred?
That has been withdrawn by the applicant today.
Okay, so that item 14, North Lake Automotive, has been withdrawn. Then also Preston Park Car Condo Storage and the crossing at Hidden Creek. And then also the Firehouse Subs, item 20. Those have public comments for each individual item. So if you have a comment about that one specifically, it may be better served to speak on that item when the time comes. Otherwise, you're welcome to speak now. So with that, we'll open public comment on agenda-related items. And if you have something to say, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. All right, seeing no one wishing to speak, I'll close public comment on agenda-related items, and we will move on to our consent agenda, which has items 1 through 8. Consent agenda items are fairly routine, non-controversial items that have been reviewed by the staff. So I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as they are.
Second.
All right, motion by myself, second by CJ to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Or actually, we'll skip one thing. Is there anything, maybe some staff needs to withdraw any of the consent items? Okay, I forgot to ask that question before I move past it. Okay, with that, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, passes unanimously. All right, that will take us to item 9, resolution number 2024-064, Oxford Station Phase 4 Final Plat.
Yes, the owner and applicant request approval of a revision to a final plat for Oxford Station Phase 4 on 10.72 acres for 51 multifamily residential lots. The revision will adjust lot lines to accommodate the width of the bricks on the side facades of the units and corrects the street names as required by Sumner County E911. Staff recommends approval of this request with 10 conditions.
All right, thank you, Jillian. Do we have a representative for the applicant with us this evening?
Chairman, I'll have to recuse myself from this item.
Noted.
I have a quorum then to vote on it.
Good evening, folks. Marty Cook here on behalf of the applicants. We agree with conditions and staff comments. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Yeah, looking at this, it really was just some street namings, some clerical things. I guess Mayor just had the question, are we okay to vote with a recusal? I think we are. Yes, Latasha.
Aisha Alexander, Assistant City Attorney. Mr. Morrell, are you accusing yourself for a conflict?
Yes,
Is that the
ma'am.
issue? Okay. Can you put that on the record and say your
Yes, ma'am.
recusals for conflict? Thank you.
Yeah, we have a quorum to hold the meeting.
No, I mean just for that vote. Does that matter?
Yes.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter, okay.
Correct. As long as we have a quorum for the meeting, it doesn't matter.
that's right.
Yes, and I'm recusing myself for a conflict of interest.
Can I move for approval with the 10 recommendations?
No second.
All right, I've got a motion by Albert, second by Mayor Brown with, for approval with the 10 conditions of approval. Again, I think it's pretty straightforward. So all those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, so it's 3-0 with one recusal. Item 10 is resolution number 2024-071, Carrollton Phase 3B and 7A final plat.
Brad Hickman, City Planner. The owner and applicant request approval of a final plat for the re-subdivision of Open Space G, Carrollton Phase 7A, and privatization of Santa Anita Alley at Carrollton Phase 3B to privatize a portion of Santa Anita Alley from its western termination behind Lot 36 to the eastern edge of the first intersection at Monarchos Drive, south of Open Space BB, on 6.06 acres, zoned R8 PRD, medium-density residential, planned residential development district, located south of Cloverbrook Way and west of Monarchos Drive. We're going to go forward, according to the applicant, with the original privatization of the alley.
Okay. All right, do we have a representative for the applicant?
Good evening, Lynn Ely with Land Solutions Company. I think everybody was here during the workshop. We kicked around some ideas of alternatives to the alley privatization and spoke with staff, planning staff, public works staff. We looked at options to just remove the spaces entirely, which is kind of where we were when it was brought to our attention that they weren't exactly by code. And that still certainly is an option. We also looked at sort of a modification to the spaces that would kind of be, the least impactive to what everybody's using currently and not tear up a whole bunch of stuff. And that was to restripe them and put wheel stops along the edge, but it reduces the spaces down. I think we only get like 7 or 9 spaces. That really wasn't a big desire of ours and a lot of the more vocal residents in the neighborhood either. They keep repeating that they really like the spaces and they want the spaces left alone. So we took a harder look at really how this could impact the HOA long term. And the reality is that we are putting some ownership on the HOA long term, but it's not something it's not uncommon for a community to have privatization of streets, many more streets than even this. There's more than 700 residents in this community. The monetary impact of having to maintain an alley over the life of the roads in this community is negligible compared to this community's budget. So we don't feel like it's an undue burden, and we still believe that the additional spaces that were not at their expense at all are well worth that responsibility for the HOA long term. So we'd like to continue through and make this a paperwork exercise and leave things like they are for the greater good of the community. And we expressed that to staff after the workshop, and I think we have that support. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
I also had a conversation with Mr. Tuttle last week at some point between this meeting and the last one. And he kind of gave me a similar perspective in that, this was highly desired by the community and that the benefits far outweigh the cost, and that the right thing to do is keep it how it is and keep it private. So that's how he felt. certainly like to defer to experts unless there's something that I really have a conflict with. So I could see his point, certainly.
No, I do too. I think the one resident that spoke about it sounded like he was maybe concerned that just the residents along the private alley were going to bear the cost of the maintenance. But if I understand what you're saying, right, it'll be the entire HOA. So the impact to the individual homeowners is, like you say, it's really negligible in long term. Okay. Otherwise, the 6 conditions of approval, you guys are okay with the
We're
way those are
comfortable with
written?
those, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with moving it on and letting it be private. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve with staff's 6 conditions of approval.
Second.
Motion by myself, second by CJ. Any other comments or further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes. Thank you, sir. Okay, item 11 is resolution number 2024-061, Keene School of Music Change of Use Site Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim Carpenter, staff planner. The owner and applicant request approval of a change of use site plan for Keene School of Music, consisting of a 1,636 square foot building on a .27 acre lot, Zone CS Commercial Services Zone District, located east of North Pardue Avenue and north of East Main Street. The owner and applicant request approval of an alternate landscaping buffer yard plan for the property. Staff has also included a condition of approval for this, for the applicant to obtain a temporary CO as quickly as possible, and then that will give them some time to work through their ADA access issues with the owner of the property. And then staff would recommend that they not be granted that full certificate of occupancy until the ADA issues are addressed. With that, staff recommends approval of resolution number 2024-061 with 6 conditions.
All right, thanks, Jim. Do you have a representative for the applicant with us, please?
Hello.
Hi.
Like Jim said, we will be doing as the owner wants us to do.
Can I just get you to state your name and your
Oh.
address for the record? No, it's okay.
Kaylin Keen, I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. It's okay. Just, so Mary Ann's got it for the record. And address?
Oh, I'm sorry?
And what's your address?
424 East Main Street.
All right, great, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
So, but the 6 conditions of approval, you guys are okay with everything worked out with staff on it?
Yes, as far as I know.
Okay. Yeah, none of it seems overly burdensome,
Yep.
so.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jim, you guys are good with that?
That sounds good to me.
All right, thanks for coming out.
I'll make a motion to approve with all staff's conditions.
Okay. A motion by CJ, second by Albert for approval with staff's 6 conditions of approval. Makes sense to me. I don't see anything wrong with it. So all those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. All right, it's approved. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Item 12 is resolution number 2024-072, Renovation Church site plan.
Thanks again. The owner and applicant request approval of a site plan for Renovation Church on a parcel and portion of a parcel totaling 12.26 acres, zoned MUG, Mixed Use General Zone District, and R40 Low Density Residential Zone District, located east of Woods Ferry Road and west of State Route 109. The applicant requests approval of an alternate buffer yard plan and a alternate architecture package. The architecture plans indicate a building height of 38.75 feet, which is above the 35 feet allowed in MUG. So staff has included a condition of approval that would require the building height to be reduced to be code compliant or to obtain a variance for the height before a building permit is issued.
Okay.
With that, staff recommends approval of Resolution 2024-072 with 31 conditions.
All right, thanks, Jim. We have a representative for the applicant with us.
Andy Leith, Greenlit Design, here with Mr. DeLeo. He's representing the church. I guess if we keep the building height where it is, we'll go to the BZA for a variance? Okay. Would you like to go to the BZA or?
Well, the thing about the height is the actual building is only 28 foot tall. And it's the trusses that require the clear span all the way across are 10 feet in the back. And so we added that parapet then on top of it. So we're really close. We're at 39.
38, almost 39.
Yeah, almost 39. So we're talking, we're trying just to get the approvals so we can get that done and we can maybe deal with that because maybe the structural engineer can put the depth of the trusses lower. But we got a clear span all the way across and that would put the building lower. We started off with 10 feet at the back. So what do you?
So what's being asked is if we get this issue clarified before building permits, that's the way I'd.
Yeah, and I think that's the way the condition's written, like,
So the site plan will be approved and you
Either-
have to deal with this before you pull your building permit.
That's fine.
yeah,
That's
'cause either,
fine. Because
either the building will have to get lower or go to BZA for a variance. And I don't think you'd have any pushback on getting a variance for,
Just trying to make the church feel comfortable as they move forward with their financing that they have an approved site plan.
yeah, I mean, unless somebody up here has a different opinion, I don't see a roadblock there. So, and I think the way the condition's written gives you the flexibility of if you can redesign it and get the height down, it's no problem. If you can't, it's just a simple go to BZA and ask for a variance, and I don't think there's going to be a problem.
It's a
with it.
structural engineering issue,
Yeah.
question, that's all it is, because the building's only 28 foot tall.
Right.
To the bottom of all the steel members. It's only 28 foot tall. All right?
Right. Okay. Yeah, but Andy, other than that, the 31 conditions as they're written, you guys are okay with?
A lot of them are notes and
Yeah.
drainage stuff, and we're good. We went through them, we're good.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I will say that the architecture looks really good and looks like we have some good photos getting ready to show up, so.
You want to see these? Or
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I think I've got about 3 or 4 copies.
We have 4 members, so you're good.
Where should we start?
Start with Mr. Carter.
Chair, thank you.
If anyone has questions on the construction and the precast and all the things we've done, I can answer those. That's why I'm here. We're the design build team.
Okay, gotcha. I don't see any problems. I think the architecture looks great. It's a good-looking
I thought you were
building.
on the consent.
You'll have some alternative architecture, but, on these large structures, I mean, you really have to do something other than just the standard brick. Otherwise, it doesn't break it up very well, so.
Congratulations, this is cool.
Yeah, no, it's much,
I think it probably is because you've had a lot of growth.
Does planning or engineering staff have anything to add?
Make motion to approve with 31 conditions.
all right, we've got a motion from Albert to approve with staff 31 conditions, and a second by Mayor Brown. I think it looks great, and look forward to seeing you guys move forward with it. Any other comments or questions before we vote? Not seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approval with staff's 31 conditions, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No, all right, passes unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen.
Question I have is, what those 30?
Do you want these for other people? Save it.
We're happy to leave a copy or two for you with the staff.
Well, I just would like to save you printing costs for
We
your,
haven't really shown the church these yet.
oh,
Okay, yeah.
don't be
We'll keep
showing
one.
them.
Yeah, leave one with staff,
This
but
one?
I'll means take
We'll keep
those.
this. We'll keep this.
She's got one.
Great. All right, thank you. Item 13 is Resolution 2024-058, Nichols West rezoning with preliminary master development plan. And this does have a public hearing.
The owner and applicant request to rezone 53.87 acres from the R40 Low Density Residential District and the R20 Low Density Residential District to the R8 PRD Medium Density Planned Residential District with a preliminary master development plan for Nichols West containing 139 single-family detached residential lots. This is located south of Nichols Lane and east of Lock 4 Road. The clustered master plan comprises housing of 2.6 units per acre. Plan Gallatin designates this area as part of the suburban community character area with a density range between 2 and 5 units per acre. This proposed PMDP includes a density of 2.6. The PMDP indicates 9 open space tracts of varying sizes located throughout the development, and the R8 PRD zoning requires a minimum of 28% of the site to be open space. This plan provides 33.9% of the property as open space. The multimodal plan indicates a greenway alignment extending through the middle of the property. This has been provided with a 10-foot wide sidewalk on the west side of the collector connection between Nichols Lane and the future Banks at Lock 4 development to the south. Parking is also provided within individual lots of the development, and they are also showing 32 additional parallel parking spaces. All residences will be constructed of a minimum of 70% brick stone on all facades with hardy board, stucco, and natural wood accents as secondary materials. Conceptual elevations have been provided, show 2-story front-loaded and alley-loaded elevations. Staff recommends approval of the request with 3 conditions. This item requires a public comment and will go to the City Council for review following Planning Commission's recommendation. Thank you.
Thanks, Julian. And before we hear from the applicant, I will go ahead and open this up for public comment on the item. So if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on the item, this is your chance to come up and make your comments. So with that, I'll open public comment on the Nichols West rezoning. Seeing no one wishing to speak, I'll close public comment and ask for a representative of the applicant.
Jim Harrison, CSDG, 1659 Boardwalk Place, Gallatin. I really appreciate Jillian's presentation. That covered most of the main points that I had. There's a couple of, only thing I'll mention is there's a couple of traffic calming things that are shown just very graphically in a couple of these street sections. Aaron's nodding his head, so hopefully I don't say something wrong here. We're going to incorporate some of those traffic calming pieces as the road runs straight, but that's in that the primary emphasis, in my mind, is mainly on the collector that's going to extend from the Banks up to Nichols. We also have a traffic study that we got, and we've submitted it now, not a long time ago, like the end of last week, to engineering, that shows a left turn lane in Nichols Lane that will be constructed. We agree to do that, and just like we said in the earlier meeting, we'll do everything the traffic study says. That's currently under review with staff, and we just will honor what they have to say about that as we walk through the process if they see anything additional. Just here to answer any questions.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Jim?
So the 10-foot multi-use trail will connect from the Banks at Lock 4 all the way up to Nichols Lane.
That's correct. It'll run along the west side of the proposed collector road. It'll have the same green space that we had there to provide a high-quality experience as you walk along that path. But it'll connect from Nichols Lane down to the 150 so acres of park in the Banks. Yeah.
Other than the turning lanes, there will be no addition to Nichols Lane.
Nichols Lane it'll have that turn lane at the main entrance, and that's what the traffic study recommended. That traffic study, by the way, was very comprehensive. It was the same firm that did the traffic study for the Banks, and they looked at all those other improvements as well as they went through this process, just to make sure we weren't changing anything with that. So this, I know I mentioned this in the last meeting. I may be going farther than your question asked. But having this collector built from the Banks up to Nichols helps to create choices and add options for people to travel. So it just adds more redundancy and more connections. It's really in line with what the city plan showed and what we were following. So long answer, sorry.
And obviously, in regards to connectivity,
I think it's a good addition to what's already been approved to the south and helps with the connectivity. So I think it's a good layout. So, all right, well, I'll make a motion to approve with staff's 3 conditions of approval.
Second.
Second by Mayor Brown. Any further discussion? Anybody have any other questions for the applicant or staff? All right, well, that I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approval with staff's conditions, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No, no, it passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 14 was North Lake Automotive. That was withdrawn by the applicant. I'll take us to item 15 on the agenda, which is Preston Park Car Condo Storage rezoning with a preliminary master development plan. Jim?
All right, the owner and applicant request approval to rezone 5.96 plus or minus acres from the MU Mixed Use Zone District to the GC Plan General Commercial Zone District with an amended preliminary master development plan for Preston Park. This is Preston Park Car Condos, Sand Creek Preston Park Condo Storage, located north of Nashville Pike and east of Warwick Road. The owner and applicant have included architecture for this that is not consistent with 70% brick stone. This is very similar architecture to the Preston Park Phase 2 townhomes, exterior-wise anyways. Staff would just like to confirm that the siding shown is hardy board or cementous. But outside of that, staff recommends approval of resolution number 2024-075 with 11 conditions, and there will be a public hearing on this item.
Thank you, Jim. Before we hear from the applicant, I will call for the public hearing on the item. So anybody wishes to comment on Preston Park Car Condo Storage, this will be your time to come up and speak. With that, we'll open the public comment. I see no one jumping up to speak. We'll close public comment on item 15 and ask for a representative of the applicant.
Andy Leith, Greenlee Design. I've also got Mr. Powers here with me. He's the architect, so he'd be able to answer a lot of your questions in relation to the architecture. But as for the comments, we're in agreement, and we can flesh out the architecture if you'd like.
Sure.
I personally, I think the architecture looks good. So, I mean, I'm very familiar with that area and the townhomes that are there. And, yeah.
I like the hotel, too.
Yeah, the attempt was to create that continued rhythm like we have with the townhomes there, and that was the intention in creating the elevations.
I guess, the whole history of that area back there was, it originally was all supposed to be commercial. The plans fell through. It's turned into townhomes. The hotels are still there. And this is in that last section that really was intended to be commercial all along. And I know there was, an attempt to put some townhomes back there. It didn't work out. And as much as I'd like to see more retail commercial, I don't think that's a spot you're really going to make it work. So I think this is a good buffer transition as opposed to seeing more multifamily residential over there. So it's a neat concept. It's, I've talked to people around town about car condos, and I was a little impressed about how many people actually are interested in that type of a product. It was more than I would have expected.
Yeah, I'm amazed, but as I frequently say, people aren't investing this kind of money without doing their research to know that there's a demand for it. So thank you for bringing that option.
It's an interesting concept for the community. I think it's going to be well received. So, yes.
Does this require a major or minor amendment to the?
So
I'm sorry.
normally that would be the case, but because this is a rezoning, the resolution is written as this is a major amendment because it's rezoning. So
Going to council. Okay.
going to city council either way.
It's going anyway. So, okay, that makes sense. Thanks, CJ, for bringing that up.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve with staff conditions.
Okay. Got a motion by CJ, second by Albert with staff's conditions of approval. Again, I think it's a good use for the site, and excited to see it come together and kind of finish that project out finally. So, any other comments or questions? All right, with all that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approval with staff's conditions, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, passes. Thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate it very much.
All right. Item 16 is Resolution 2024-078, The Woods Final Master Development Plan.
Right. The owner and applicant request approval of a final master development plan for the Woods residential development on a 16.6 plus or minus acre parcel containing 31 single-family detached residential lots and 53 single-family attached residential lots zoned MRO, multiple residential and office districts located east of Woods Ferry and west of Highway 109. This is substantially consistent with the Woods Ferry Residential Development PMDP. Came through recently. Staff had mostly minor comments for this and recommends approval with 14 conditions.
Thanks, Jim. Do we have a representative for the applicant?
Chairman, I have to recuse myself on this item due to a conflict of interest.
All right, thanks, CJ. Noted.
Marty Cook, on behalf of the applicant, we're in agreement with all conditions.
Okay, thanks, Marty. Yeah, it seems like the conditions are mainly notes and pretty routine things. Is there staff or engineering, are there any other comments or things you guys are really concerned with on it? Okay. Yeah, otherwise it's pretty much consistent, and again, the notes are mainly clarifications, so I don't have any problems with it.
Staff's conditions.
Okay, got a motion by Albert with staff's conditions of approval. And I'll second it. Again, I think it's consistent with what they brought through, and the notes are pretty minor. So, any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor of approval with staff's conditions, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, passes. Thanks, Marty.
Thank you.
Item 17 is resolution number 2024-079, the crossings at Hidden Creek amended preliminary master development plan and final master development plan. And this item does have a public hearing.
All right. The owner applicant requests approval of an amended preliminary master development plan for the crossings at Hidden Creek and a final master development plan for the crossings at Hidden Creek infrastructure on two parcels totaling 84.05 plus or minus acres, zoned MRO, multiple residential and office district, and PGC planned general commercial district located north of Highway 386 and east of Big Station Camp Boulevard. So the amended PMDP is a small change in layout. This is the originally approved PMDP with the lots kind of fronting onto this minor arterial or local street. Changes that to shift the lot structure a little bit, but it does result in a small lot reduction of 7 lots. And then the FMDP is for Springdale Lane and the Bison Trail extension. Staff recommends that this be considered a minor amendment to the approved PMDP and recommends approval of resolution number 2024-079 with 5 conditions, and there will be a public comment on this item.
All right, thanks, Jim. At this point, I'll open a public comment on crossings at Hidden Creek. So anyone in the audience wishing to speak on this item, please come forward at this time. So public comment is now open. All right, again, seeing nobody wishing to speak, I'm going to close public comment on item 17 and ask for a representative of the applicant.
Scott Stokes with Gamble Design. I'm here representing Randy Hoffman, the developer, here to answer any questions.
Yeah, so the change in the lot layout, so it went from an alley load to just a straight load, and that's the
Yeah,
alignment of the road.
just
So,
to remove the frontage on that collector road.
okay, and then lost a couple of lots in the process? Okay.
And I guess looking at it, it enhances the amenity too as well, doesn't it?
Makes the menu a little bit bigger so we can fit more stuff in there.
Yeah, since it's not a significant change in circulation, it's actually lost a couple of lots, I'll make a motion that it be a minor amendment.
Second.
Second by Albert, got you there by just a second. So second by Albert. So all those in favor of this being a minor amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so it'll be a minor amendment. And then on to the main item. This is pretty straightforward. The 5 conditions of approval are minor, just clarifying notes. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve staff's 5 conditions of approval.
Second.
All right, got a second from CJ. Any further discussion? All right, so with that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, passes unanimously. Thank you, sir. Item 18 is resolution number 2024-080, DeMoss Townhomes, Final Master Development Plan.
Good evening, Commissioners. Charlie Pieri, Staff Planner. The owner and applicant request approval of a final master development plan for DeMoss Townhomes consisting of 4 single-family detached dwelling units on 2 lots totaling 0.43 acres, zoned in the R6 high-density residential district, located north of DeMoss Street and west of Center Street. The applicant is requesting an alternative architecture for this project. The look is similar to those on Oxford Station. It is also worth noting that there is a development right across the street from this site, further down this way, with houses that are going to look exactly like those. And then in addition to that, there's some other houses that are on that street that don't particularly meet the requirements in the zoning ordinance. With that being said, there are some conditions for approval. I don't have the number with me right now. There are
It's like
some.
10. Yep.
One of those being from planning staff regarding the mailbox kiosk or mailboxes on the site. That's something that was not shown on the plan. Other than that, staff recommends approval of Resolution 2024-080.
All right, thanks, Charlie. Do you have a representative for the applicant?
Andy Leith, Greenlee Design. We're in agreement with comments.
Andy, do you know where y'all would put the mailbox kiosk on that site?
Well, it would be something I'd like to work with the postmaster to see, what they would want for something like this. I understand the premise behind kiosk, and actually I'm not against it. I like it. I don't know what would make best sense with something like this. Either have 2 mailbox, 1 at each driveway, because, the whole thing behind the kiosk is the mailman to pull in, unload.
Yeah.
It's not a good place for him to get from these 2 over here to these 2 over there. So we can work with staff in the post office to see what they would prefer here. I mean, if they want a kiosk with 4 units in it, then we'll put it in.
I was like, typically, I think the postal service would be the ones that would have the biggest opinion.
It's the postal office.
And they tend to get their way.
Work with the postmaster, see what they
So, okay. Well, look, I think I said it at the work session. We've looked at this property before. This is a vastly improved plan and use compared to what we've seen in the past. And, with the similar construction across the street and in the area, I think it's good use. And you guys have addressed my concerns with the parking and the landscaping. So
I'll make a motion to approve with all staff comments.
Okay. Got a motion by CJ, second by Albert for approval with staff's comments.
Say one thing.
Yeah. And
I think that as we see more and more of this infill in some of the older neighborhoods, it's hard to tell from what they're showing us what it will ultimately look like. But I think it's important to try and keep it a little consistent with the character of the neighborhood, whether it's craftsman's or bungalows or, and also, I guess, depending on how much you're infilling. So, but when it's a few houses or a house here and there, I like to see something that kind of respects the character of the older neighborhood.
And that might be something as we look at more of these that, maybe a comment for staff would be to maybe get some photos of what's around these, just for some perspective.
That's also something that we should discuss with our zoning update as well.
So I think we're going to see more and more of the infill
And I
projects.
think, like I said, some areas, you're going to see redevelopment of entire blocks.
Yeah.
And that's a different scenario when you're redeveloping a lot or 2 lots or.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or somebody finds one of those plat book 1 10-foot wide pieces of property on it and builds a structure.
5-story house that's 10 feet wide.
It's 10 feet wide. I just know I couldn't fit in it.
All right. Thank you. Okay, with no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Opposed? It's approved. Thank you. All right, item 19 is Resolution 2024-081, MI Homes Bledsoe Springs Finer Master Development Plan.
The owner applicant requests approval of a final master development plan for MI Homes, Bledsoe Springs townhomes on a 5.1 acre parcel containing 48 townhome-style condominium units with a horizontal property regime zoned R6 PRD, high-density residential, planned residential zone district located north of Hartsville Pike and east of Airport Road. The FMDP for this is substantially consistent with the PMDP for this project, and staff recommends approval of resolution number 2024-081 with 10 conditions.
Thanks, Jim. Do we have a representative for the applicant?
Andy Leith, Greenland Design, and we're in agreement with the comments.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, pretty much, this is very, very similar to what was already approved, just some minor comments and changes, right? Yeah. I think we got the Greenway connection resolved. Everybody's happy with where we landed on that?
The grading plan should show that Greenway can be built without any substantial grading.
Okay. That's
built to the plans.
Yeah, that was the main thing we were looking for. So, I appreciate that it's similar and you guys didn't change a whole bunch of stuff on it, so.
Likewise.
Anybody have any questions for?
No, sir.
All right, got a motion for approval from Albert. I'll second it. Staff comments are pretty routine, so.
I don't have anything else.
Okay. All right, so no other conversation on, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, passes unanimously. Thanks, Andy. All right, item 20 is Resolution 2024-082, Firehouse Subs Amended Preliminary Master Development Plan and Final Master Development Plan. Charlie? And this does have a public comment.
The owner and applicant requests approval of an amended preliminary master development plan / revised final master development plan for Firehouse Subs on a 3.05 acre lot zoned as PGC, Planned General Commercial, located west of Greenlee Boulevard and south of Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. This is what the current or the most recent PMDP shows, with this lot being vacant up there. That is the subject site. That is the perspective layout. As far as architecture goes, is pretty consistent with what is already there and matches the materials on the final master development plan for the remainder of that site. There is a public comment that is associated with this item. Planning Department staff recommend this be a minor amendment to the preliminary master development plan. And they recommend approval of Resolution 2024-082 with, I believe, 14 conditions.
All right, thanks, Charlie. With that, I'll open a public hearing on Resolution number 2024-082. If anyone wishes to speak, this is your time. So with that, public hearing is open. All right. Seeing no one wishing to speak, close public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion on minor or major amendment.
Make motion to be a minor.
A motion to be a minor. I'll second your motion. I think this is clearly a minor amendment. There's no significant changes in circulation or density. So with that, we'll hear from the applicant.
Andy Leith, Greenland Design. We're in agreement. One of the comments was to provide an alternative parking plan, so I would like to ask maybe what staff would like to see for that.
Voted on the minor
We didn't
major.
vote on the
Oh,
minor.
And voted on it.
my apologies. 1 second. All those in favor of
And
being...
it's keeping an eye on you.
Well, that's good. So all those in favor of being a minor amendment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Apologize for my mismanagement of the meeting.
Just some direction as to how you'd like for us to present that. The same owner of this lot still is involved with the rest of the development. Well, most everything that's shown there with the exception of the gas station. So he's agreeable, whatever staff would like to see, we can
I'll let staff talk about it. I think just
work it out with them.
I think what they're looking for is an agreement for shared parking for access to make sure you got plenty of adequate parking for the firehouse subs. But I think that was the only issue that we really talked about at the work session that anybody had any concern with. So I think, would y'all say this will be one of the first ones, the firehouse with a drive-through?
This, one of the first, yes. I think there's one in Lebanon that they're modeling out. There's Tennessee that has a drive-through, but this is a new concept for firehouse, or relatively new. Yeah.
I think it's a good spot for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see anything else to be concerned with on it, so. You guys are good with the other 15 conditions other than that question?
I'll make a motion to approve with all staff comments.
Got a motion by CJ to approve with staff's comments. Second by Albert. I didn't get about the card. I think it looks good. All right. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Comments? All right. Well, all those in favor of approval of staff's conditions of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, it passes. Thank you. And then item 21, resolution 2024-083, Twin Eagles Phase 15, Section B, final master development plan.
All right, Jim Carpenter, staff planner. The owner and applicant request approval of a final master development plan for Twin Eagles Phase 15, Section B, to construct 41 single-family dwelling units, 3 public rights-of-way, and an open space tract on a portion of a 59.10 acre parcel zoned MU mixed-use district located north of Wildcat Run and east of Douglas Lane. So I believe this item will be on the council committee agenda for tomorrow night to get clarification on what exactly half means. There's quite a bit of varying stories of what that number is, and so we want city council, staff wants city council's guidance on what they are looking for this. And with that, I'll hand it over to the applicant.
Andy Leith, Greenland Design. So considering that, we are going to ask this body to defer this item until council can make their ruling, I suppose, as to what it boils down to is from our reading of the minutes, it was voted on that 88 lots was the motion that was made before he had to build out to Douglas. And the way that it was written up after that was 1/2 plus 1. I'm neutral right now. I'm in the middle. So Aaron, or engineering, is asking for it to go to city council tomorrow night for them to determine, how many lots can he build before he has to go to Douglas?
Mm-hmm.
Because the number's been reduced and the half is a lower number.
Correct.
I think in conversations with our city attorney, and I don't know if Ms. Alexander was also engaged in it, but they reviewed the meeting where the vote was taking, and they just thought it was very ambiguous. They could not tell if half was the intent or 88 was the intent. When I think he made the motion, he said 88, but had previously said half. So that's why there's the confusion. The difference between half of what was initially planned and now is less than 20?
Right at it.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it's around 20.
So just make sure I understand, so you asking to defer the item?
We're asking to defer, yes, till next month and let city council have their time to determine how many lots we've got.
Okay. I think you've got the right to ask for a deferral, so do we have to vote on
Yeah.
a deferral at the applicant's request?
Motion.
I don't believe we do. I think we have to vote on if we defer it.
Part two.
No action?
Yeah, I mean, the applicant, yeah, because the concern I would have is if we defer it, then it starts a 30-day clock ticking where it becomes approved by default. It's
Motion to grant the applicant's request.
we've got a motion that grant the applicant's request to defer. I like the clarity. Second by Albert. So this is a motion to grant the applicant's request to defer. Made that clear, I think, right? Okay. All those in favor of approving the applicant's request, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. So granted.
I did.
Good way of putting it?
All right. Other business. We have a meeting tomorrow night I'm sure you're going to mention.
Yeah. So yes, tomorrow night, there will be a joint planning commission and city council meeting together at 5 p.m. here in the council chambers. Our consultants from TPUDC will be presenting regarding an analysis of our current zoning ordinance along with our Plan Gallatin documents and how those two are going to be meshing together. And the goal of the zoning ordinance is to implement Plan Gallatin. So, it needs to kind of be understood as to what the goals and objectives of that document are and how they're going to tie in together. So that's what they'll be discussing tomorrow night.
Is the best format for that to put both bodies down there in front of the big screen so that we can actually all see the same thing? Because sitting up here, I mean, if it's on your monitor, yes, but sure would be nice for everybody to be together. And
That's our plan, is to have everybody sitting down at the main table down there. Whether or not we pull down the screen is a different story. I was talking to Jeff and trying to ascertain what's the best setup
Using a
in order to do the switch over between that meeting and the city council and how the different filming and all of that kind of stuff may occur. It might be that we use the side TV and/or this one in order to be able to see whatever's on the presentation.
they'll all be able
So-
to look at it and not with their
Yeah,
backs.
we may also be able to tie into that smaller one, just to be able to do that. But I'll keep chatting with him.
I just didn't. One time we did it, and it was awkwardly set up when we had a joint meeting, and so I just would like us all to kind of be together.
Yeah.
Because he also can't present to different places, so thank
Sure.
you.
Yeah. And then also just put it on your calendars again, and I've been saying it for a month or two now, but July 12th through the 15th will be our Planapalooza. I put a few flyers out here by the door, so if you want to grab one on your way out, put all those dates in your calendar and try to participate as much as you can. Monday last week was a great public kickoff. They came in and did a great presentation, and several people that were, I don't know how to categorize them other than they've been opposed to certain things in the past, walked out of there saying, Brian, this was really great. So I was very pleased with the outcome, and seems to me like, our consultants are doing a great job at, handling questions and be able to address those questions in a manner that satisfies people.
I thought he did a great job, and I was pleased that when I talked to him afterwards, and I was like, was this terrible? He said, oh, I've seen so much worse. So, because people were asking him difficult questions, and I thought he handled them very well.
I wasn't able to make it to the meeting, but I heard the feedback I heard from folks that were there and watched it was very positive. So excited. And before we leave tonight, take a chance, welcome Councilman Carter to the Planning Commission, the City Council last week voted to have him replace Eileen George on our commission. So welcome, sir. We're looking forward to having you and your participation and your viewpoint on what's good for the city.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here.
With us at least for a few months.
Might get tired of us. So, all right. Any other announcements or other business?
Just a heads up, I won't be here next month for the regular meeting at the end of the month.
Okay. Okay.
That-
All right. Sounds good. Motion to adjourn?
Yep, second.
Second. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
You can go, Charlie.